Good afternoon, everybody. I'll call this meeting of the Woodford County Fiscal Court Budget and Finance Committee to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Squire Taylor.
Here.
Squire Partner.
Here.
Squire Carl. Here. Judge Executive Judge.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We have our friends from Woodford Theater here with us, and we will allow you all to come up first if you want to, and get to the front of the agenda to discuss the lights and stage bid request. If you don't mind to turn on the mic there, and let me just start out by prefacing this and saying that the fiscal court budgeted for this project, the theater modernization project, in our last budget year, but due to your all's show schedule, July or summer, some point in the summertime is the main area when you have availability to do these projects. So we weren't able to do it last July. So for the members of the Budget and Finance Committee, our goal is to discuss this as it will be budgeted in the next budget. And then I believe, and you can explain this, Daniel, that this project would be slated to take place in July.
That is correct. We have been in conversation for a significant portion of this year with county officials, including Rick Hartley, Rick Wade, several people who have come out to kind of look things over, and then several companies as well to come out and look over the infrastructure that currently exists, what upgrades in terms of equipment and also labor would be necessary. Essentially what you all were provided last year as we talked with magistrates and showed you what was happening with the project. This is the same thing. But it is the extension of looking at it going into next fiscal year, simply because our dark month in the theater world, that's the word we use to describe when we go dark, is July, where there is no programming taking place. So the goal is that all of these upgrades, including the stage floor, the lighting and sound upgrades, and then also a few seat upgrades, because I do believe the seats in the theater are original to the space, which means they're 22 years old and some of the bending mechanisms are breaking. We've gone ahead and ordered those pieces, but the hope is to get all of that work done in July. We have created a request for bid document that includes the labor and the equipment that we found necessary and sent it to Ms. Coyle earlier this week. So all the ducks are in a row, and we're just hopeful to open the bid process to get that rolling.
Absolutely. So that's what is before the Budget and Finance Committee. So I'd entertain a motion to advertise and begin the bid process for the lights for the Woodford Theater Modernization Project.
So moved.
Motion by Squire Varner, second by Squire Taylor. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. That motion carries. And we'd also like a motion to advertise and begin the bid process for the repairs to the stage and flooring for the Woodford Theater. Motion by Squire Carl, second by Squire Varner. All those in favor, please vote and signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And that motion carries unanimously. So thank you for being here. Darlene, thank you for being here as well. You want to, while we have you, you want to talk a little bit about what's going on at the theater? And
Absolutely. We are concluding a 5-show main stage season this weekend. We're currently in our Tech Week, what we call Tech Week rehearsals for our Woodford Theater Young Artist Showcase. So our students that are not just from Woodford County, but all of the surrounding counties as well, we have approximately 35, and they are putting together their showcase for this weekend. And then we are opening The Wizard of Oz on May 16th, which is a whole lot of fun. And we have just announced next season, a full season of shows as well, and we are doing incredibly well, and we look forward to continuing to bless the county with as much art as we can.
oh, we appreciate it, and we are excited about that. And we're excited to get these projects starting for you. So in the dark period, you'll have the Ricks on stage doing their thing.
That's right. Yeah. A dual-man show. Yeah.
Yes. Well, it'll be a lot more than them. So we really appreciate it. And if there's anything else that you can think of, anything,
Will do.
all right, let
We
us
will be
know.
in touch.
Let us
Thank
know.
you.
I want to make a comment.
Please do. Please do.
I don't know how this got done, but there was a railing that was finally put on going down the steps to the stage door. And I just want to say thank you, whoever got that taken care of. because there's never been a railing going down those steps, and
Yes.
I've almost fallen several times, loading in costumes and taking them out. So I just want to say thank you to the court, whoever took care of getting that done.
Yes, so I'm sure that would be the Ricks and our maintenance department. So you are very welcome, and thank you all for being here. And you're more than welcome to stay, but you're also welcome to be excused as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go enjoy this wonderful day. All right. So I think if Director Chandler, would you like to go first, or would you rather go after road?
Your preference, sir.
I don't have a preference. How about, so we have a lot of stuff with road, so I was kind of going to hold that for a minute. But Director Chandler, if you wanted to give us the high points of your budget there. So we're turning to the DES, commonly known as Emergency Management Budget.
Let my Excel catch up here. Computer protested when I pulled it off the dock. All right. So I guess the biggest change is the addition of the WebEOC software on line 28. That's something that we talked about adding to the budget going back into the winter. It seems like we're having emergencies more frequently than in prior years, and trying to compartmentalize the data on a network share is very cumbersome, and the people that aren't in our Woodford County KY.gov ecosystem don't have access to that. So as an interlocal agency, it's important to make sure that the fire chiefs and both city and taxing district have access, utilities and public works. Fortunately, there's a whole sector of crisis management softwares out there. KYM uses the same software. Lexington uses this. Louisville had it at one point. They've changed brands though. So it's based on the number of users, and that is the most significant change to the budget overall. We did lower our training and travel expenses. I had intended last year to move those numbers down further. If you recall, we wanted 2 people to go to the national conference, one of which was Russ Crabtree to receive his certification during that ceremony for earning that achievement. Then they announced that the national conference is in Louisville this year. So I'd like for everybody to have the opportunity to go since it's in our backyard. Next year, we would continue to decline the training and travel budget for our state conference, and then one national attendance.
And Director Chandler, any of your grant programs, there was one that I think you got some good news on, and you wanted to maybe share that?
Yes, Melody and I are getting together tomorrow or Thursday to finalize the grant revenue line items, and we had applied for an additional cybersecurity grant. So we've got one that's in the process of closeout, one that we're ready to start work on once we get a little bit more certainty from the granting authority as to when we can get reimbursed, so that we're not having that cash outlay for an extended period. And then we've got one application pending that we got some. It was suggested to us that we go ahead and reserve a place in the budget for a third award, and that was about $250,000. So we'll definitely want to make some room for that on the revenue side, but also the necessary expense accounts to go with it. That includes new hardware in the sheriff's office, in the county attorney's office, coordinated with Mr. Hawker. We've got some additional redundant connectivity options, and extending the advanced security licenses for the network at all the buildings, as well as covering some of our Microsoft licensing expense, which seems to keep going up and up.
Absolutely.
And there is a whole other IT budget, Judge, that's not reflected in here, and as well as the safety budget. Those will be finished up hopefully by the end of the week. We're waiting on some quotes to come in from some of our partners.
So I'd like to open up the floor for any questions about the emergency management budget as submitted. I just want to thank Drew for working on this during the time of emergency and continuing to stay on top of stuff as well. Squire Taylor.
Any of from the flood response, that transfer we made, I guess none of that would need to be reflected on here for this next year, right? I just wanted to clarify that for folks. If anybody had that, I assumed y'all would recognize that if that was an issue, but. And I would ask the treasurer, it's my understanding in the relevant KRS, the emergency management fund, because there is a recurring federal grant that's passed through the state, they want it to be its separate fund. I remember early on, it was not even managed in the treasurer's office. There was a checkbook kept downstairs.
Wow.
And monthly, there was a check written to the fiscal court to cover the payroll. We don't do that anymore. But that's why DES is a separate fund. So I look at this as the personnel and operating side of emergency management, and then the grants, whether it's state or federal, would be different funds, and the special fund for the disaster will be another separate fund.
Have to report it separately as well.
Thank you. Good question. Thank you.
Thank you, Squire Taylor. Other questions of Director Chandler regarding the proposed draft emergency management budget? Seeing none, Director Chandler, you are excused to go about.
Judge, with that, would I be able to send the preliminary numbers based on this to the cities for their portion of the interlocal agreement, the breakout document that we do?
Yes, is there any objection within the committee of doing so? Seeing none?
All right.
You're good to do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you. All right. So we will move on to the Woodford County Road Department. We have our road supervisor, and I'd also like to say that Bo and his team have also continued to do the regular work of budget and county business while being all hands on deck, wide open during the response to the flood. So Supervisor Wilson, we really appreciate that.
Okay. Bo told me to talk, so I'm going to talk. I'm just going to hit the line items that that are significant. Most everything else we've kept fairly the same. Line item number 12 is salaries. We really need to hire 2 additional employees. We have one that is gone. I mean, he's no longer an employee for health reasons. And then we also have another one that's out on workers' comp. Adding these 2 would give us 2 full crews and hopefully keep overtime costs down. Now, this year was special because we had significant winter weather, but it would at least be able to split up the crews, keep trucks on the road 24 hours versus pulling them off because they're exhausted.
Well, the thing is, if you can run 2 12-hour shifts, 12 on, 12 off, instead of trying to run 22 hours, then taking a little break. Safety factor comes in there when you get that many hours, you get disoriented, you know. So you need to be on your game when you're out there. So that's the reason. Plus we lose a couple guys through the summer mowing. So that cuts our team down through the summer months. Then we gain them back through the winter, which helps us with 2 shifts, pushing snow and just regular maintenance.
Absolutely.
But I do need to probably replace the 2 that's on sick leave. Well, pretty sure neither one of them coming back. Then add 2 additional to try to have 2 shifts.
And I would just let the committee and the court know that our human resources manager and myself are working on the personnel numbers for all departments and agencies, but specifically these proposed changes for road. So they're reflected in what you can see here in line item 12, but it's also going to be obviously reflected in the full amount of expense in the personnel budget.
I'm trying to eliminate 2 seasonal positions and take their salaries and pay for one of the additional 2. But it's hard to get seasonal workers because you can only work them so many hours a month, and everybody that's out of school or whatever wanting to work, they're wanting 40 hours a week for the whole year. Each week, you can only give them like 100 hours a month. So we're just eliminating them 2 and creating one more.
I think it's a good way to go about it. So the details of that will be presented in my budget to the court. You all have that in plenty of time to review.
Line item 14, which you all will address that later in the court meeting, but we need to keep the flex funding that's presented from the state. It just helps us get our roads paved here rather than let the state pave state roads with that money. So, and that's
And-
around 170,000 according to the paperwork that I received on that.
And I will, so they're going to be here at our fiscal court meeting. And my goal is to kind of run through this after you all get through the budget part and discuss it in some more detail. So you're good to move on.
Line item 26, that's the big one. If you recall last year, we pre-ordered 2 trucks with the understanding that we would not receive them until after July 1st of this year. And that is still on track as far as we know. The problem is we need to purchase another single axle with snow equipment and a tandem with snow equipment. Now, I think you all may have gotten pictures of the trucks just for your reference. So I realize, well, I say we realize that that's a huge number,
Yes.
but we've got to have them.
Well, some of these pictures that I've sent that you guys have looked at, Darryl for one, some of the pictures with differentials, they're rusty so bad they won't hold the seal anymore, so you can't keep oil and grease in it without leaving it all over the county. And the beds, the signs holding them together, there's a hoist in the middle of that bed that raises that 20 ton. And they're getting so bad, if that horse pushes through that bed, that 20 ton drops. Then the truck can fold in half, or it can slam a guy against the top of the truck and break his neck. You know, hopefully nothing like that ever happens. But we're getting to this point. We can't patch them no more. They're 20 years, 25 years old and been installed all their lives. So it's really took a toll on, you know, to have something dependable to get out. That's the reason we're asking for the additional.
I mean, it's a lot of money, but I did check with the salesman at Bluegrass, where we pre-ordered the 2 trucks. The single axles was scheduled to start production the 1st of April with no tariff effects to us. The one in October, that's the tandem, we don't know. He couldn't guarantee us that they wouldn't be.
It's still up in there.
Yeah. But the one that's in production now will not have additional tariff costs for parts. I mean,
2 of these trucks that we're buying are non-CDL. And 2 of them are CDL, but by having more smaller trucks, non-CDL trucks, you can get drivers.
Absolutely. And I think one of the reasons we do need to look at addressing these vehicle needs is because we've been on back order for several of the needs, and there's so much uncertainty in the market, particularly the vehicle market, as it relates to tariffs and economic uncertainty. And we would hate to be another budget or 2 down the road and absolutely have to have something and pay a premium when we could potentially get ahead of that now.
That's the whole idea, is trying to get ahead of the game.
My guess would be that you may have a little bit of sticker shock in this budget right now, but my concern would be that your sticker shock in 1 or 2 budgets could be twice as much or more.
We haven't
Squire
seen,
Taylor.
we haven't seen any of those prices go down.
No,
in our
and they
tenure,
won't.
So it's not,
They won't.
yeah.
We ready for the next line
Does-
item?
Let me focus on that. Squire Varner?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Bo, the chassis is probably as rusty as the bed is, isn't it?
It's a truck and bed, it all comes, there's a package, then we send them out and have them outfitted for.
Yeah, but your
snow
chassis,
removal.
but that rust has done got to your chassis too. I mean, they're probably
Yes.
ready to break anyway, besides the pole.
Most likely.
These new trucks, are they gas or diesel?
They're
engine?
gas.
Or gas?
No, excuse me, they're diesel.
They're diesel.
Cummins.
Cummins,
Okay.
Yeah, they're diesel.
All right. They're not built in the United States? Is that the reason you were talking tariffs?
Probably not, you
Oh.
know, probably.
They're international, so they're American-made, but a lot of the parts come from Canada, Mexico.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.
it's hard
Yeah.
to say what kind of. like
If you've got
sticker
20,
shock
if
we're
you've got
gonna
20 some
get.
years out of all the salt those run through and have to deal with, you've done a major job with them. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Squire Varner. Other questions or comments regarding that? So, just to go over it again one more time for the fiscal court, just go through the trucks you expect that 1.15 million would buy.
We are hoping,
Yes.
we know we can get the 2 that are pre-ordered, which is 1 tandem with snow equipment, without snow equipment, and a single axle with snow equipment. We don't know if we can get another of each with snow equipment. And it may be that the lead time for it, we may have to carry the money over into the next budget. Who knows?
Yeah, we ordered these trucks over a year ago.
We ordered them, I can't remember.
Yes.
It was before this budget. It was probably this time last year that we ordered these trucks.
And the fiscal court approved that, I recall.
They did, and like I said, we adjusted our budget down in that line item to accommodate for that because we knew we wouldn't be spending that large amount in this fiscal year, but we knew we needed to in the new fiscal year.
Yes. And, so the ones, the ones that we have on order is the tandem without snow and the single axle with snow equipment on it?
Correct.
And then you'd look to order the other ones, and those would both be on price contract?
Yes, but they're the only dealership that does internationals, if we want to stay with international.
But we looked around, we tried to go with Freightliner and some of the other type trucks and, actually Ford, it didn't pan out, you know.
Sure. But you've done your due diligence.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, I'd open up the questions on line item 26. Additional questions? Any members of the court that would like to ask questions as well, you're welcome to do. But not seeing any, we'll move on.
I'm going to jump to line item 28
Yes,
and then go back to 27, and I'm doing that on purpose.
sure.
So, line item 28, a couple of years ago, the state implemented a county priority paving project fund. We have to submit for those in October. The legislature votes on it and approves. We've learned that we were not approved for any of that funding for the next fiscal year. We got 0. So, anything that's left in that line item, even though it's not actually been sent to us, but it's been sent to the district, to District 7, it's going to go back to rural and municipal road aid. We can't even roll that over into the next fiscal year. It just goes back into their budget. So, having said that, I want to back up to line item 27, which is county road aid. Typically, we funded paving, salt, and salary and benefits out of this line item. But we have a lot of roads that need resurfacing. We're not getting that county priority project fund, and I honestly think we need to look at another way to fund, you know, the salt and the salary and benefits so that we can use that money to pave roads.
Which
And I
would
know
be,
that's the
the
bearer
only
of
other
bad
option
news.
would be general fund.
And that
Correct.
is the bearer of bad news, and I hate it, but it is what it is.
Yeah, we was counting on maybe doing more paving with that money, but since it fell through, it just, now we're prioritizing what we can pay out of what we got to work with.
Right.
So I would ask for folks to ask any questions along those lines with that structural change in the budget. Seeing none. Yeah, Squire Varner, you have something?
I do have one. Approximately how much of that money would you have to use for your salt salaries and benefits?
This year, we only had like, what, 100 and maybe 60 or 80,000 left to actually pave with.
Yeah.
It's not very much. Not with the cost of things now.
Yes.
It's not, and
The salt market, it just keeps jumping and jumping, and you try to count on what you paid for it last year, then you get new bids and it completely shot that out of the water, you know.
So, out of the line 20, let's see, you said 28 was the one we're not getting.
not
any-
getting anything.
So we do have from the 166 up to 305 left in that line item, or no?
Were you saying that's what wasn't approved to be expended, it has to go back?
Yes, that'll have to go back.
Have to go back.
166,000 will go back to rural and municipal road aid. Oh, wait a minute, no, the 166 was what was spent, whatever the difference between
Yeah,
that,
the difference
from
is what's gotta go back,
305
so
will
we
go
can't-
back, I'm sorry.
We have to use that in the fiscal year. It's been
We have to
appropriated.
use it in the fiscal year for the roads that we told them we were gonna use it on. We can't use it for anything else. I mean, when we submit the list and they approve our submission, if I say I'm gonna use it on Dry Ridge, which we did, I can't use it on Huntertown Road. I have to use it on Dry Ridge or we violate the contract.
Do you
We
have
don't
a
wanna go
plan-
down that road.
Do you have a plan for any of that left before? the
No, it's
fiscal
all
year?
been, everything that we were going to pave with that money has been paved.
Okay. And we can't use any of that for striping or anything?
Nothing. It has to, it's just paving.
Okay,
Because I did ask that question a while back.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, Squire Varner. Other questions? Seeing none, we'll continue on.
And then the last one, and this is sort of it's line item 29. It's called FD 39 funding. They don't call it that anymore. We have $100,000 that we were awarded for Old Clifton. We've got to pave that before February of next year, or we will lose that money. So that it's in the plan to pave as soon as we get Clifton cleaned up. It just has to be expended before the end of February next year.
It was already bad enough to add insult to injury, this flood and traffic and equipment, it took its toll. It really softened the concrete, the blacktop in the water that long, it deteriorated, so that's one of the priority roads to be paved.
Absolutely, and Director Chandler and I went through Old Clifton on the way here, and both of the curbs were already crumbling on down, and then the flood, and like you said, the equipment. If it needed it before, it definitely needs it now.
Yes, sir.
Any questions along those lines? Seeing none, we'll continue on.
That's the only things that I touched on that were changes and big ones. Everything else pretty much stayed the same as far as our budget goes.
So, the LGA, the remaining 690543, we'll have that public hearing here at
Is it 5?
5 o'clock. So what is the plan for that?
That, we're gonna replace some saws, some weed eaters, not as much hand tools, but as much, not power tools, but like say saws we use, shears, something that we use every day or dang near every day and they're getting a lot of age on them, we replaced them 7 years ago. Yeah.
And we do a lot of parts. I mean, if
Yeah.
something breaks, they'll fix it, but at some point, they're made out of plastic and they just don't hold up.
Sure.
Guys, you can only rebuild it 20 times till finally nothing to work with. I mean, you can change a jug on a chainsaw, but it finally gets to the point, you can't do that no more. Yeah.
Well, that's how hard,
They get work,
that's right. That's how hard you guys are working
yes.
that equipment. So that'll be our discussion in our LGA public hearing. Again, that we're gonna move towards zeroing that line item out.
Yes.
Let me ask, any member of the committee or the court have any questions regarding the draft of the road proposed budget? Any questions on anything in particular on there? Seeing none. We do have, you're going to rebid the road fluids?
Yeah, we are going to solicit quotes
Yes.
for the road fluids because we got no bids this time around. The first time
Yes.
it was done incorrectly, it was incomplete. We received one. The second time we received 0. So I called Jordan and I'm like, what do we do? So we have to solicit quotes, which I think we can. We may still come up, but we just need the committee to make a motion for us to do that.
Is there a motion to authorize the road supervisor to seek quotes for the road department fluids due to no bids being received thereon?
Motion.
Motion by Squire Taylor, second by Squire Varner. That's a recommendation of the full fiscal court. All those in favor, please vote, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And that motion does carry. So moving on to the county road funds. So, I see Squire Gill has this. You all have this. So the State Highway, Department of Highways, District 7 will be here, as they always do. They needed to come at our full fiscal court meeting. So we kind of wanted to go over this so that, if you have any questions, we'll try to get to them now, but you're welcome to ask any and all questions to them when they get there. But as we normally do, trying to work through some of the business during the committee meeting. And it does pertain to road and the road budget. So, Tracy and Bo, your all's understanding of the rural secondary program. First and foremost, Mr. Road Supervisor, your recommendation is that we keep the flex funding for the counties to use on county roads.
We've identified the 2 roads that we want to use that money for. And
Yes.
once it's completely approved, we'll submit that. We want to resurface Huntertown Road from the city limits to the Parkway. And then we would like to add in there to resurface another mile of Dry Ridge. Now, we're not going to have enough money to do all of that. But at least we can give them an idea of roads that are needing attention. The city is going to do some resurfacing on Huntertown from the Laval, that mess there, out to the city limits. So it would be a good time to go on and tie into that and at least try to get that resurfaced and even striped if it can be.
Yes.
Yeah,
It should be.
We'll get the spots start to show up in Huntertown. We're getting a big swag out close to Paddock that's holding a lot of water in that area. So we want to try to eliminate that problem before it gets worse.
Good deal. So the fiscal year 26 recommendation for flex funds by the state was for Kentucky 1965, Ford's Mill, mile point 1.7. Y'all can see that in the green diamond at the bottom of the page. And then we'll let them explain our other funds, but overall, that looks to be a positive. It looks to be positive in terms of the amount that we're suggested to get there. And then, can you all talk a little bit about some of the roads that you're looking at, in addition to the ones you've talked about potentially doing some paving work on, or that you're conditionally looking at?
Well, we've got Oregon Road.
Look at this list.
You read Facebook, you'll see some complaints about it, Hefner, part of Hefner from the bridge up. We paved from the intersection at Oregon out to Ford's Mill, but now we need to back up the punt and come from the bridge to that intersection. Oregon, part from the river, really rough. Not gonna pave all of it, but I'm gonna pave part of it, something like the lock up to the curve, starting up the hill, then from, probably half a mile from Hefner on Oregon back south. To tie into the existing pavement that was done, but secure road, so that's held up good. So that's some pretty rough roads they need.
Yeah, and-
The winter really hurt them.
And to your point about Old Clifton, Oregon Road was underwater in that area you're talking about as well.
That's part of what we want to pave now, with
Yeah.
water stood on it,
Yeah, there's part of Oregon Road that had not had water on it,
yes.
I would assume, since 1978, so.
Sure didn't help it
No, floodwater doesn't help anything.
now. No.
So, well, I appreciate you all letting us know some of that information. So, any questions for our road team about the rural secondary program? Yep, Squire Varner.
You mentioned paving Huntertown. Is that gonna take out the high friction pavement that's?
No.
It's going just to
it's
the
going to
Parkway.
it? Okay. I noticed it was kind of
It's a
flaking on y'all.
disaster. I don't think the county should ever do that again. I just think it's a bad,
Yeah.
it did not hold up like it was
It didn't stay laid
touted
down.
to be. No, it did not.
Well, if we repave that, we're actually gonna have to take a grader out and take all of that off. Because if we pave over that, then the new pavement will come up, because it's not bonded. So
Right.
I've run into that where they've done, not traction compound as much, but as paper. They used to, some people, engineers decided that putting paper on the blacktop was a good idea.
No. You can't, you gotta have
It's the
the
same thing,
bed
we're
under
gonna have to take up every bit of it before we pave.
Thank you.
Does the state have anything to say on that?
No.
I mean, it's,
The one thing that I can say, about that project, it was experimental pilot type program. It was something that was it wasn't necessarily something that we can expect to
And
see
there
all
aren't
over
very
Kentucky.
many contractors that even do that. I asked the rep from HG Mays if they did it, just because I was curious, and he said, no, we don't do that stuff. He said it doesn't,
It's a failure.
it's a failure. Basically, he said it's just not holding up.
It's got the right idea.
Yeah, the friction had the right idea, but the tires were grabbing the pavement and pulling it up, which you wouldn't slide off, but
And
you
there are
might
big
fall
holes.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not just little potholes. They're big. They're deep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Alan knows.
Alan knows.
That's gonna be one of the things, and the potholes that's there is actually from that surface, it's not the road underneath of it, it's from where they put that on there, so, that is something that we're gonna have to look at and remove it, because you can't just keep patching, you might as well take it up and have it out of the way.
Understand, for sure. Other questions or comments regarding the road department budget, the rural secondary program funds, county road funds? Anything? Are there other matters that you all have in the full fiscal court meeting that we can look at, or is that pretty much it?
I think that's it.
I think that's right. So,
Other than the LGEA public hearing, that's
which we'll have you back up for that,
Right.
which will be at 5. So you're more than welcome to be excused until that time. Hang around or head out and come back, whatever you'd like to do. But I know you got plenty to do, Mr. Road Supervisor. And thank you, Madam Operations Supervisor, for all your work on the budget. We appreciate it so much. So we have before us the next item of the Budget and Finance Committee. Before I move on to additional department budgets, we have the Millville Sewer Line Project RFQs. Here they are, right here. What I would propose is that we'll take a brief recess in between probably some points in the meetings for you all to review those. They're fairly straightforward. It's essentially choosing a company. But let you all look through those. And there's a scoring guide that goes through the RFQ. And if we're not prepared to move forward with a recommendation or a decision, then I would ask that the fiscal court give the opportunity for us for additional review post-meeting and the opportunity to have a recommendation via email approval, if that would be good with the court and the committee. So I'm going to go ahead and pass these around. You can take a look at those while we're going through some things. But I won't rush anybody to a decision. Again, that's for the Millville Sewer Line Project, the one that will go from Duncan Road area to Castle and Key area and provide sewer service for that part of the county. So let's see, I know we have Director Rich Pichter here, and Director Pichter is fresh off doing a review of the Big Spring Park renovations, revitalizations.
Yes, we had a walkthrough down there with the contractors.
And if you don't mind, how did it look?
It's looking great. Everything is coming up. The playgrounds are being constructed right now. Benches and bike racks and other things are due in a week or two, and we should be all set to have a grand opening somewhere about a month from now. So
All right.
about maybe about 10 days earlier than we had said, which we had said 1st of June. So I'm looking more like mid-May at this point. Don't have an exact date yet. Want to make sure we get everything pinned down before I say exact dates, but it will be coming up soon.
That is great.
And everything is looking tremendous down there.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Director Pichter. So you all have the Parks and Recreation budget before you, and your Parks Board has approved this, Director Pichter?
Yes, that's correct.
So if you want to go ahead and start walking us through that.
As I put on the cover sheet there, the total overall budget increase this year is a 7.9% increase over last year's budget. Last year we only had a 0.5%, just for reference point. And it kind of gets skewed when you look at the indoor pool improvements, because there's 2 large improvements to the indoor pool that need to be done, which is the resurfacing of the indoor pool and the painting of the ceiling in the indoor pool area. If you remove those 2, then the increase is only 1.1%. So that's where I point out that one line item really skews that over our number. For the purpose of this budget, our health insurance has been factored at a 10% increase. That's what I was told from Clerk Elizabeth Reynolds. However, we don't have the exact number yet, but that's kind of a placeholder. We do not have a plan for any new full-time employees this fiscal year. The cost of living increase for full-time employees was set at 3%, and the total capital for this park system is $330,000. Last year was $200,000. And then I have just kind of a breakout of the capital improvements, which are the thing that really vary the most from year to year in our budget. And just hitting on the key points there, the indoor pool resurfacing and the indoor pool painting, these projects need to be done. They need to be done every so many years to keep the life of the pool up, so we don't end up like the situation Frankfurt's in, where they have no pools because they didn't maintain them over the course of the time periods. HVAC digital control software. The software we have is the original software to the building that allows us to control the heat and the air in the building, and it actually runs on an old DOS system, which I didn't think could even be running at this point, but it is. This gives us ability to better control, especially when we're not in the building, when there's plays going on and they call complaining it's warm or it's cold or whatever. We'll be able to regulate that from our phones.
And not through a floppy disk?
Not through a floppy disk, exactly. Actually, now it requires myself or Kevin to drive to the building and go up to the computer and manually reset it. So
Wow.
this will be a lot easier than having those happen. And throughout the whole building, it'll give us better control. Russelltown Park Playground. This was something that came about as a need through the city council's request. And so we were able to fit it into this year's budget, and you see a small picture there of that playground. It's a very small park. It's kind of just more of a parcel of land. But what this does is it gives us a small swings, small climbing feature, and slides for that area, and this will fit within the dimensions of that park. The next, we have park signage. We have a new park signage coming to the county park this year. The old Falling Spring sign will be gone, as will the marquee, and it'll just say Woodford County Park. Because that is what it is. It's the Woodford County Park, not the Falling Springs Park. So we're going to try and push that message along. But then we're going to have all the local parks will have the same look and feel. So whether it be Stonegate or Marywood or Huntertown, all of them are going to have some kind of the same look and feel within the park system. So that is part, as well as Big Spring, we'll have a lot of new signage going in down there. Big Spring shade and site amenities. We knew that going into this project, we wanted to open Big Spring and we wanted to use it before we made all the determinations of where everything goes. It's kind of like they tell people when building a school or a college, you don't want to put your crosswalks in until you see where the students are going to walk. And we're doing the same thing. We didn't want to assign shade structures if that's not where people really wanted to sit and be. So we're going to let it play this summer and then go in and look to put in the shade structures and some other site amenities that, the planning for this happened for years, so I'm sure we forgot something. So this is to pick up what we forgot. Resurfacing of the old pickleball courts to include basketball. If you take the old pickleball courts that we had outside the building that one time were basketball courts, this would be, they're due for a new sealant on them. So we would seal them again and coat them. But in addition, we would stripe them with basketball lines as well as pickleball lines. And then we put temporary nets out that would be used if the overflow from the new courts. But what this does is gives us an outdoor basketball court temporarily, or not temporarily, but it could remain permanently, but until such time as we're ready to build a much bigger, larger system, which is still 2 years away. But that way we're not waiting another, what would be 3 years to get something in the county for basketball. And it wasn't at an outrageous cost to get all that done and to accomplish those things, because the resurfacing was majority of that cost to resurface that anyway. And continuing with our outdoor pool maintenance, again, keeping our pool so it's operational, replacing the pool pump. And last year we did the main pump. This year will be the main outdoor play feature pump, which is putting a brand new pump in. The last ones have lasted 23 years, but we don't want to keep pushing it. So eventually we're going to have to change it. So that's what we're doing. Continuing our work on plantings and invasive removal. For plantings, for example, the area next to the playground at Big Spring is going to all be wildflowers, separating ourselves and where the Woodford Inn is going forward, as well as Huntertown has a lot of invasives and some other plantings that they're going to be looking to do, and continuing our setting money aside for future retirement and liabilities. As the overall budget comes, I can take any general questions about that, but most of those numbers get generated over years and years of history of those areas, and or if we knew of a specific reason that something was changing, for example, changing our computer provider or something like that might have changed the numbers. But I also constructed a very conservative budget. Over the course of the last year, I don't think any of us know where the economy is going. And I will say that typically gym memberships, when people start tightening their belts, is a place that can happen, so I don't want to be too aggressive in that area. As well as we are due to get a new gym, or fitness facility in Woodford County, opening in June. So people always like to try the new thing out. They did when Workout Anytime came, but they're back with us now. So that you don't know what the impact immediately will be on that. So that's one reason I also made sure I was very conservative on our revenue sides. But I'll be glad to answer any questions now or via email or phone call down the road anytime.
So I'd like to open up the floor for any questions. Yes, Squire Carl?
Well, this is kind of off your budget, but we had talked about the grant that was out there for the trees. Did you?
Yes,
Yes.
we have those. And Bo is going to be planting those trees this week.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep, they're going around the pond area.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Squire Carl. Other questions or comments for Director Pichter regarding the proposed Versailles Parks and Recreation budget? You had the opportunity to send this to the city and have you?
I've presented it to Mayor Dake, and I'm not sure if she's sent it out to her council or how she's handled that, but they do have a copy as well.
Gotcha.
And part of our meeting today, at the end of that, was looking at the next step of projects, which, as you know, are the turf fields for the Little League, the lighting for the Little League fields, and the multi-purpose football, soccer, lacrosse field. So I was meeting with CMW on that. We hope to be able to have numbers on that total project by middle to end of May at least, the latest.
And Director Pichter, let's talk about that a little bit because it will definitely impact our budget. So again, if you don't mind, go back over the remaining tenets of the parks project, the joint project with the city and the county that we have remaining.
The next phase that we have are the ball fields, putting turf on 2 of the youth fields and lighting on the youth fields, as well as a multi-purpose football, soccer, lacrosse field where the current grass field is located. So that is what is planned in the next fiscal year cycle. And I believe the total price tag estimated that we had from a couple of years ago was around $2 million total, which would be a 50-50 split city-county based on the original 5.5 million. And then following that, the remaining projects in the next years to come would be the basketball facility, Huntertown Walk Trail, and more playground equipment at local parks like Stonegate, Marywood, and some of those parks.
And so, Director Pichter, you and I have had a discussion about when you get these bids for the turf projects that we're anticipating, that we would also get the bid for the community stadium turf field.
Yes, we're doing that as an addendum to our bid process. So we will have a cost on the turf for that, which would have to then be talked to with the Board of Education. But we'll have at least a price when we're going through this pricing structure.
And I would anticipate, and I think I've even mentioned this before, but I would anticipate that that's something that we would like to get a partnership together to address. I get a lot of calls and concerns regarding the turf field, its age, its maintenance, and that sort of thing. And I think it's time, particularly considering that we're mobilizing turf projects, it would make sense to go ahead and take care of that project. So it's something that I anticipate putting into my budget for the full fiscal court to review. And then there could be some additional projects related to that, Director Pichter, and can you touch on that?
Yeah, I've spoken with the turf manufacturers, a couple of them, and the lighting people to look at doing a larger outside of just the main stadium field, but looking at putting turf infield at the high school baseball and high school softball fields, as well as new lighting at the high school baseball field. The lighting in the baseball field needs to be fixed. Again, these are things that would be, I envision, in conjunction with the Board of Education, because they're the main tenant and the main users of those. And our current agreements say all capital improvements to those fields get split, city, county, or county, school board, and or city. So I would envision a larger package could be put together that could span many years, if you will, however the court, city, the three entities wanted to do it, to where all three would share in improving this. And from the Board of Education, I can't speak for them, or I haven't spoken to them about this even, but they would be able to say that they have improved all of their facilities, not just a new high school, not just their football, soccer field, lacrosse field, but also their baseball, softball fields. And recently, we built new tennis courts for them to use. So within the last 5 years, every one of their sports facilities would be upgraded and up to par with these other neighboring counties, where schools are typically building their baseball fields turf and their softball fields turf, because in the long run, it saves a lot of money, because the watering, the maintenance over years really does add up a lot. And so if you can do it where three entities could share in that cost, it could be very cost effective for everybody to do. So I'm obtaining the numbers for those at this time, and I've got those numbers from these companies. So whenever everyone's ready to sit down and talk, I got the numbers.
So, and the county is going to be ready to sit down and talk. That's what I'm communicating today. We're ready. I think these type of investments, again, we've got to look at things in the future. They're going to be needed, and we'd rather spend good money now instead of pay premiums on this sort of stuff later. It would be really hard to do one-off turf projects. If you had a turf company mobilized, you could do multiple in the same area and save on the mobilization cost. The cost for the community stadium turf replacement would be considerably less relative to a new turf project, because the field already exists, is graded, drainage is there.
Yep.
We would simply need the new turf and the rubberized.
And a lot of the rubber can be repurposed as well. So, I mean, you're less than half the cost of building a new field. And in the baseball and softball, that's why we would look at doing just the infields, not the full field, because it's really not, most of the schools in the area that are doing that, there's some that have built full fields, but that's when they built a brand new school and they decided to build all turf. But a lot of the new ones are just doing the turf infields, because that's where, I mean, if your infield's playable, you're going to play most of your games. It's going to take one of our historic rainfalls to rain out otherwise, or be raining during the game situation.
Hopefully we're done with those historic rainfalls for a little while.
Yes. I will say that it was a very good test for Big Spring Park, having historic rain in the middle of construction, and it held up perfectly. We did not have water anywhere outside of the lower Great Lawn area, which is exactly where the water is designed to be held, and it was still 10, 15 feet below the sidewalks, the plaza, and the playgrounds. So in past years, the road, everything would have flooded. I mean, I've seen water up above the swings that are 12 foot tall. Everything that was newly constructed was dry the whole time, and even the lower Greater Lawn area, that water was all gone within 2 to 3 days. As soon as the creeks went back within its boundary, that water did seep back in. So we're extremely pleased with that.
That's great news. Great news. Other questions or comments regarding the Parks and Recreation Department's budget? Seeing none, thank you, Director Pichter.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate all your hard work on that and all the projects going on.
I'll be in touch when we have a date with all of you, and look forward to
Excellent.
seeing you all there.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just say, Director, I had a question today from somebody about it, so I'll be excited to give them an update, but they're really excited about the park.
Yes, and it's important, and it's hard because that playground equipment's going to go up soon, but people have to stay off of it. And so I really can't stress that enough. When we put the pour and play rubber in, there is a window there between 12 and 24 hours that we cannot let people on it. So we're going to have to, Parks Department's going to pay for round-the-clock security on it, because if someone decides to jump the little fence and get out there, they could mess up the rubber, and then it's just a total redo, which is very expensive. So, but you know, right now people are still walking through at times, which is okay, but we got to try and keep people off of it just for a short window there when we can get it open. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Pichter. You are more than welcome to be excused. All right. So you all have the letter from the state, Finance and Administration Cabinet, Department of Revenue for the estimated county statutory obligation for the Property Valuation Administrator's Office for the fiscal year 25-26. As stated in our first meeting, that is $101,050. Just put that on the record. Although we already have that number on the record, I did want to state that it was certified, so you can anticipate that line item being there. Just for your review, you have the first draft pass of the City of Versailles General Fund Police Department expenditures and their estimated capital expenditures. The Versailles Police Department and Chief Young will be here at our next Budget and Finance Committee, the second Tuesday of May, to go over this budget in detail. I would encourage that anybody who has any questions in the 3-week period between now and the next fiscal court meeting, if you have questions, to meet with Chief Young. And if you have any additional questions thereon, you can always ask myself, the treasurer. And we have had a meeting with Chief Young, with Tracy at the Versailles Police Department, and the mayors, and their clerks as well. So that was a productive meeting. But for the record, everyone has a copy of the Versailles Police Department's proposed budget. Madam Treasurer, do you want to discuss your budget? You don't have to. I mean, it's up to you. I have it in front of us. All right. Well, keep moving everything along.
Mine did go up a little bit for refunds. If you notice, it's toward the bottom of the page. We're noticing that some of these companies that are using the business incentive aren't actually taking it out of their payroll as they pay it. Instead, they're asking for a one lump refund at the end. So we end up going over. Midway's having the same issue. We just cannot get them to do it with their payroll. So that number is a little bit higher than it was. Also, I've noticed that when we're paying for stuff with credit cards, we're having to absorb those fees. You know, most credit card companies are charging usually a 3% service fee now. So I did add that in there. See what else. We still have a little bit left to pay to implement Springbrook. And then we'll have that maintenance fee. And then I was notified from Fiscal Soft today that their annual maintenance fee has increased a little bit because they are adding some new features into there. So the data processing service, that is there's carryover from what was budgeted this year that will be paid in the upcoming fiscal year. That's all the big changes for mine.
All right. Any questions for the treasurer regarding the proposed budget for the treasury? Seeing none, thank you, Madam Treasurer. Director Wade, are you prepared? You ready? All right. I would turn you all to the Woodford County Maintenance proposed draft budget.
Start with the vehicle waste. $90,000 for a new vehicle that'll be outfitted for snow and removal that we can aid and assist. That'd be a full snow pickup truck body. We've kind of started getting our emergency management, helping those people out. Their runs have increased. Also have the satellite office.
Hey, Rick, do you mind turning your mic on? And let me just reiterate what you said. You're talking about a new truck with a snow removal package for EMS and other off-site snow removal. You found the need, and I can share that maintenance is now taking over a lot of the snow removal that where it had traditionally been the responsibility of the departments. Some of the departments that maintenance has taken that over for a variety of reasons, but one that's much more in their abilities and capabilities, as opposed to Freeman and the paramedics and EMTs, or the government center is another responsibility there. But when everybody's all hands on deck and we have all of our road department vehicles out, this would be a big help to get things cleared in and around the courthouse, the government center, and all of our other off-site remote parking lots and driveways.
Yes, and we can also augment county road too. I mean, that's no problem stepping over and helping them in that event.
Which is, in a way, what we're seeing with the disaster response is, the debris removal is a three-pronged response. It is Woodford Road, maintenance, and recycling solid waste, all tackling that together, which is how we've been able to have such a coordinated and effective response.
And then I'd like to move to maintenance courthouse renewal and repairs. We have our generator PM, HVAC PMs. We're also looking at an exterior sound system. I estimated $15,000 for that. We have a meeting tomorrow with a sound specialist to go over that. That number could change. A lot of this is estimated. I've been extremely tied up, so to speak, but I do have some hard numbers on some other projects. A storage system rental, if one outside maintenance doesn't go, we need to pick up some rental storage areas. There's a great need for it. We need to free up some space for EMS, for county fire, where we are storing a lot of the items for emergency management, and then what we could buy in bulk would be a great savings. Let's see, we have stonework I need to perform on the front portico. The rail is splitting the stone out. We're going to have to either repair it or replace it. I'm going to try to look at repair only. It may add to the character, I'm not sure. It depends on what the specialist has to say, how we can do that. Looking at rehabbing sheriff's office restrooms. There's two there, replacing sinks, waste fixtures, automatic flushes, do some rejuvenation to the tile, and pull and repaint. Also the clerk's restroom and the judge's restroom. That'll be a beginning process of upgrading our total restrooms in the courthouse. That's the last thing on the list that we've yet to tackle. Moving on to equipment, I'd like to purchase a man lift and a platform lift. We've had to rent a couple times. We can look at a good used platform lift. The man lift I would like to to have a motorized man lift for use at the annex. We may get 97% match on that, or refund if it's exclusive to that facility.
And Director Wade, let me just share that we've priced, when we were doing our audio visual for the courtroom, we priced the outdoor sound system. The outdoor sound system is a big need for community events. The courthouse is the central piece in all parades and all other community events, including Twilight Festival. The city has added some speakers down there, which were too far away for those to be able to be actually heard. But for all of our events that we are central to, we really need a sound system that will project to the street and ideally to Court Street as well for the tree lighting, for other events that, again, the courthouse is a central piece. And I can tell you that I've heard a lot of requests for this specific thing by people who come to these events and can't hear when we have big crowds, because even with DJs and sound systems that are brought in, including the Christmas parade, the big one, they're never quite sufficient to meet the audio needs for what we're trying to do, and so I think it's actually overdue.
The project total is $196,000. That'll give a repair and maintenance for any unforeseen about $74,000 for repair if anything should happen to crop up.
And Director Wade, if you would just share that is probably a conservative estimate on things that'll pop up and come up.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it is. We're just seeing that. Everything is more expensive. Everything has an end of life. Rick and his team do a tremendous job in getting ahead of issues, but you know, we're always, you know how farmers are, Squire Varner. Anything can break, even the best things you got. Most things do. Thank you, Director Wade. Continue on.
I'd like to move to our county clerk satellite office at the Gov Center. Would like to exterior paint, figured roughly $12,000 for that. New 6-inch gutters with caps, $13,000. They've taken a hit over the last couple of years, especially the storm. We repaired and redid some fascia that got damaged, and some gutters that were hooked and pulled apart. We got those repaired, but they need some attention. Like the exterior lighting, we have fixtures I'd like to upgrade, change over to LED. That would be $10,000, and then HVAC replace. I believe that's about a 27-year-old unit that we have in there. I'd like to upgrade that to a high efficiency heating in there. That total project line is $47,000, and I budgeted $75,000. So for that building.
All right, we'll go through all of it, Director Wade, and then we'll come back with questions.
Okay. Off-site maintenance. I have a request from athletic director and football coach Johnson. We own the stadium and all its appliances and fixtures and scoreboard. We had issues with sound system. It's been blown out 2 or 3 times. I think that goes unmatched. Checked with we've had issues with the scoreboard. So Nesco, I contacted them. They came out and they gave me a quote for a new sound system and scoreboard, a match system so that you can't elevate it above the capability of your speakers, and it would touch every area of the complex with sound. That was $80,000 for that project. And then stadium lighting, Nesco put me in touch with a different vendor. Rich Pictor typically uses Musco lighting. This outfit came in and was a little cheaper, but it would have to be put out for bid. I elevated that price, and that would be around $250,000 for advanced lighting. That would also give you the ability to see who's operating it when it's operated. We've had issues that people have gotten keys and codes and been out there at 2 o'clock in the morning having a soccer match and fiesta party, so to speak. So it's much needed. Those lights are original. We are doing a lot to that facility. We're putting in new restroom fixtures, paint, and resurfacing the floor. So, and it will also be painted this year, or this spring, the exterior. Moving on, this is a glaring need that showed itself back just 2 weeks ago for a emergency management storage facility with the water distribution that we had unloading, and we had to shuffle 3 truckloads of water around just to accommodate for that. You didn't want it sitting outside in the sunlight, so we had to scramble, and it's just something that we need for Drew to get his equipment consolidated, and that will free up 3 locations of space that he has now. That'll be the EMS, road department, actually 4, county fire, and then what we have at other areas. We also had some out the event barn.
And Director Wade, if I may, so you all remember last budget cycle that we discussed the large warehouse building project. We decided ultimately not to include that in that budget. But we have a growing need for warehousing, storage, and space to keep things. And what we have realized in this disaster in particular is that emergency management has a growing and consistent need. That need is not going to change. And even in the event when we don't have disasters, that's actually when we need it. But if we had the opportunity to use it in disasters, it would be even more versatile and provide a utility for the county that we have been, essentially asking other governments, the school, other places for space to do things, and we always run into the fact that they are pretty much out of space as well. So I recognize the need not only for maintenance, but particularly for emergency management as it relates to their needs for warehousing and storage space.
And Judge, I got a rough quote for the building and erection of the building, $280,000. Concrete work, $90,000. Utilities, $60,000. 4 overhead doors, 4 by 16. Still waiting on price on that, but I estimated $40,000 for 4 doors, overhead doors with operators. Lighting about $16,000. Asphalt around the building, $45,000, and insulation, $50,000, and heating, $35,000 for a total of $600,000.
So let me.
Yes, and also we have some money that's available that we had from the hurricane. That 2 damaged structures on county property, and it's, I believe, $240,000 that is available, but we have to get an extension once we hit the July threshold, to be able to keep those funds inactive, for us to be able to, available to use them.
And Director Chandler can expound on that at some point if need be. So I'd open up the floor for questions regarding the maintenance budget.
I'm not done.
Oh, well then. But you've run out of money, Rick.
This next one is for the theater, lighting and sound. We had budgeted last year $100,000. I think with the pending tariffs that we have and uncertainty, budgeted $200,000. We have some areas that need seating repair. I'm looking at $30,000 for that. They are very expensive units. They're replaced in rows. The flooring of the stage, $70,000 for that estimate, and that will be a total tear out, new sleepers, put down, 2-ply of plywood, and then luan over top. That total project's $400,000. Field house parking lot, that's estimated at $200,000 to extend that. We're getting more and more activity. There's a lot of parking on the grass and in the ditches. By doing that, that'll aid tremendously. Senior citizens or exterior paint is $35,000, and I wasn't sure with the flux we're in with the fairgrounds what we wanted to look at as far as projects.
Which could be something you need to revise in the final version of the budget, but we'll keep you updated on that.
Yes, sir. Annex and repair. This is carryover the HVAC project, 1.26 million. That'll be reimbursed from the AOC at 97%. That's moving monies over from last year. Lighting upgrades, we're replacing as we go. $10,000 for LED upgrades. Painting, $15,000. And we also, I put in a generator. I submitted to AOC for that to see if they would pick up 97% of the cost. It's $425,000. I estimated that up from the original quote we had from Henderson that did our other generators. Just a simple fact, it's just everything's increasing tremendously. But they have that in discussion, and we'll know more about that at a later date. Deferred and then camera system for security of that building. We're getting more and more use in and around, and I think we need to upgrade our security system. Put $35,000 for that because I believe we're going to need a server unit over there. But that's just a rough general idea, and it's very conservative. Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to open up the floor for questions for Director Wade.
You're gonna be a busy man.
Squire Varner, you're recognized.
I'm trying to.
Rick, on this proposed building, where was you thinking that building would be?
We looked at the several spots. I think our best spot is right in behind animal control. It's high ground. It's if we do have an event or a football game, you still have access in and out. If we looked at putting it over by the fairgrounds, you've got issues there. But I believe that's our best use facility right there. We would have to look at some property line issues, possibly moving that. We own the property, but moving some property lines around, possibly.
The building out by the conservation's new building back there, the old metal building, what's stored in that building?
They have, Parks and Rec equipment, goods and materials that they use.
And in their new building, they have it full with their
Yes.
equipment too.
They move some of their higher dollar stuff up, to that. Some of their stuff that they want to keep dry, field lime, that type of stuff, they put in that back building.
And anticipating the square footage of that building, will that building be full, or will that building have some space to do something else in?
With racking systems, we'll have a little bit of space, but, it'll be close. I mean, Drew has a lot of stuff, and then we have quite a bit of stuff that we could also use.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you.
Thank you, Squire Varner. Squire Gill, you're recognized.
Just under the theater, if the lighting and sound is 200,000 and the seating and repairs on that are 30, and then the flooring 70, that's a total 300,000. Was there supposed to be something else that would add it up to 400?
I believe that's correct.
So it's 300 and not 400?
300, yes. Good catch.
And also, this is a question for the judge. Will we be getting the dollar ticket surcharge from the theater since we're doing all of this? We had foregone that for a number of years, and I don't know if that's still in effect, but maybe we ought to look at that to let that go towards this.
Yes. And my understanding is from the theater's proposal to us that they have kept that dollar in reserve for capital improvements, so that in part of their share, they will put that towards it. But I see what you're saying for future. So I would assume that either through us or through them, it would go towards this project. But we can clarify that. Other questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you, Director Wade.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.